Welcome to the Fit and Field podcast, your go-to source for all things health and nutrition. Here we explore topics and simplify ideas that can help you maximize your training, your nutrition, and optimize your health. I'm your host, NikkiFIT, a functional nutrition coach, a certified fitness expert, and a nationally ranked physique competitor. And I have helped hundreds of men and women just like yourself balance their hormones, find freedom with food, and truly create the physique of their dreams. So sit back and relax and get ready to expand your mind, challenge your assumptions, and discover something new. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fit and Field podcast. What is up, guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Fit and Field podcast. I'm your host, NikkiFIT, and I am so glad you guys are tuning in today because we have a very special guest with us. Joining us today is Eliot Campbell, and he is the owner of RegenMD, a leading hormonal replacement and peptide clinic in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Eliot has extensive knowledge and experience in the field, and I am so excited to learn more about these innovative treatments and the advancements in technology that are being made. So, Eliot, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good to be here.
Now, before we dive in, I would love for you to just share with our listeners how you got into health and wellness and then ultimately became the owner of this wellness clinic that is helping thousands of people across the U.S.
Yeah, for sure. So at a younger age, you start playing sports. So you kind of develop a love for fitness in a way through sports. Through that, really, I started lifting weights, and it was so funny. I was more into the lifting weights parts for how I looked than the actual sports performance part of it with that. So, as life goes on, you're playing sports, you go to college, played football, did those things. And then when you get out, you're still lifting, weights and doing all those things. And then, I originally went to school for business. Okay. I got out of school and got a sales job and started doing that. But I always had this love for exercise, nutrition, supplementation, and those kind of things. So I was constantly reading about those things and had a love for it. All right. And really, as life went on and I'm, working my 9 to 5 and still working out, my body's failing on me. I couldn't recover. I had these injuries from sports and just living my life as I was. So then I started researching, finding ways that I could live a more, convenient and just quality of life through these things. And through that, I found peptides. I was a big time weightlifter. And then all of a sudden I'm, 28 and I can't even do 10 push-ups because my elbow hurts so bad. So I'm like, how can I improve my body, heal my body, with natural, safe ways? And that's where I learned about peptides. And through that, met with people and then, started a business venture in the middle of COVID, dropped the sales thing, started that and went all in. And then it's been going from then.
Would you say that your mindset has shifted from more of like that weightlifting, like trying to build your body to more of like anti-aging longevity?
100%. Used to want to be the biggest, strongest, most muscular dude in the room. And I'm like, I don't want to age now. I want my skin looking good. I want my hair looking thick and shiny. I want to have energy throughout the day. At one point I was so big and muscular, I walk up the stairs, I couldn't even catch a breath.
Oh no.
So I want to stay as young and youthful and vibrant as long as I can. So it's really shifted, like you said, from that, weightlifter strength thing to an anti-aging aspect. It's been a huge and extremely beneficial quality of life change for me.
I can absolutely relate to that because I feel like I've kind of been on the same journey. So when it started out for me, it was more about like losing weight, getting in shape. And then once I kind of lost the fat and I decided, I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition. Then it was like, okay, I want to build muscle. I want to do all these things. But as I got older, I realized my body started breaking down, right? Yep. And I was like, okay, first off, I need to be as safe as I possibly can so I can continue to work out as long as I possibly can. And then also too, it was like a mind shift where it was like no longer about how lean can I be or whatever. It was more about like longevity and anti-aging. Like I want to live as long as I possibly can. And then I want the quality of life. I want those years to be good years. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be hurt. And, I think that it's kind of where peptide therapy comes into play as a tool to really help push us over that mark, right? I feel like I know some about peptides, and just for the listeners out there, I've been working with Eliot in his clinic now for quite a few years, really since you guys opened.
Yeah.
It has been greatly beneficial for my own journey. I first experimented with a supplement or a peptide called BP 157 when I had some surgery. I had my breast augmentation done, and I took it for healing and anti-inflammatory and lowering inflammation, and it was absolutely amazing. And then I also took it orally when I had some GI issues for the same reasons, healing, inflammation. And so I'm a big believer. I'm currently doing some stuff, and we'll talk about it a little bit further in the podcast when I'm on right now, but big believer. So I know that your clinic really does multiple things, but the two main topics today that we're going to chat about is HRT. And for you guys listening, HRT is hormonal replacement therapy. And then also too, we're going to talk about peptide therapy. So if you could just give the listeners like a really high level of what is HRT therapy? And then what's peptides? Like what's the difference? Because I think so many people think, well, especially when they're talking about HRT, they think about, steroids and I'm gonna get jacked and I'm gonna go buy some stuff from Jim Bob behind the gym and shoot some stuff in my butt or whatever it is, like, right? So it's like I think that there's a misconception about what hormone replacement therapy is. So let's start there. What is it?
Yeah, so hormone replacement therapy, and hormones are occurring in the male and the female body. Okay, and actually, it's becoming more abundant on both sides, just with lifestyle changes, quality of life, sleep, medications, foods we eat, those kind of things. But essentially, hormone replacement on a high level, think of it as a guy. The big hormone that you think of as a man, which all the hormones are just as important, is testosterone. Okay.
Right.
This is a medication that would be given to you by a supervising physician. So like any other medication, okay, you were given this because you need it. You don't go to the doctor and not have a cold and they're not going to give you penicillin. You're given a therapeutic dose to fight symptoms that you were occurring because you had low testosterone. All right. So symptoms like that can be, depression. If you're feeling sad, unmotivated, not focused, foggy brained, can't lose weight, even sleep issues, things like that. Can't put
libido is a big one.
Libido is a huge one with that. That's right. So, these are all symptoms that could be hormone related. And it's something that whether you go to a clinic like mine or talk to a physician, wherever it may be, if you're feeling these things, go get your lab work done. Talk to a professional about it. But again, with hormone replacement or any therapy that you would do by a supervising physician, like we have at my clinic, or a doctor, they're going to give you therapeutic doses. Okay. So what they would try to do is get you on the higher end of optimal, okay, which is in range, and you'd be able to see through your lab work. Okay. Well, the way we do it at my clinic is we try to get you to do the least amount possible to get the maximal benefits and not a single side effect.
Love that.
Yeah. So that's really what you want to do. And again, if you were to get HRT, it's not because you're trying to look like the dude on on the cover of Flex magazine.
Right.
You have the symptoms, of a low testosterone person. So it's a medication that's used for a specific person. It's not made for uses like anything else that you might see that would be the abuse of something.
Yeah. Two things I want to add to that too. So, I work with tons of male clients and female clients, and, any male that I work with that's over the age of like 40, 45, I absolutely always recommend for them to get their blood work done, because as we age, and once we I think like 40, 45 is that precipice number where testosterone levels start to fall. So if you are doing everything right and you're trying to build muscle and you're struggling, or your libido is struggling, or, like you said, energy levels, whatever it might be, depression, there's a really good chance as a male that you could have low testosterone. Yeah. So I do think that it's very beneficial to get your labs done. And also it's important to get your labs done, not just through your regular medical doctor, because regular medical doctors are going to make sure we're within a range that we're just okay. We're in range. We're good enough not to be medicated, right? And that's going to be with any of your labs. A medical doctor is going to say, okay, you're just good enough. Just good enough not to be on some kind of medication because you're sick. So what you guys do, and what my understanding of like functional blood work and labs is you're looking at it from an optimal standpoint. So your ranges are a little bit different. It's like, how can we put you in a place where you're optimal and you're thriving? You're not just, oh, you're okay and you're in range. So I think it's very important if you are going to do the route of hormonal replacement. This is for my guys out there that don't just go to your medical doctor. Don't go to your primary care physician. Can you? Yes, I'm sure. But I highly recommend you reaching out to someone like Eliot or another, clinic in your area. So, but that's just my caveat on that. So the other thing is peptide. So I understand that the HRT is, replacing the body's natural hormones. And it also goes for women too. If you're in menopause or things like that, that's a little bit more intricate. But what about peptides? What's the difference between peptides? Like, how do they actually work? Because they're not steroids, right? Everybody wants to think that they want to pool those together in the same bucket, that they're like anabolic steroids. And I know they're not. So please explain to the listeners what peptides are.
Yeah, absolutely. So peptides are just chains of amino acids that are actually naturally occurring in the body. And people like the thought and idea of a peptide because it's a more natural homeopathic way to go about doing things. Okay?
Got it.
Because it's a natural sequence of amino acids. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, someone that were to take, testosterone, which they needed it. Okay. If they were to get it prescribed by a physician. But, if you're to come off testosterone, your levels are going to be lower than it was before because your body will almost, if not completely, almost completely shut off making it. Okay. Right. So that is a huge commitment, or not a huge commitment. It's just a commitment that you'll have to make. But if it's one you do, it's because you need it to. Okay.
And also having a plan. I'm gonna cut you off right there because I actually worked with a male client at one point that I got him on the hormonal replacement. He needed it. He thrived. Mm-hmm. And then he just decided he was going to come off of it. Yeah. And one day he was like, man, I feel like shit. And I just, all this stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm diving into this. Like, what's going on with food? What's going on with sleep? How's work? Are you still doing, your HRT? And he was like, no, I just decided to quit. And I was like, well, boom, there you go. Like, there is a way to come off of it and naturally bring your levels back up. So just people do know that there is a way to transition off of it. But if that is the route you're going to go, like you said, it's a commitment. Like you have to have a plan. And that's one of the really cool things about working with you guys is that you come up with a plan. And that's either with the peptides or the HRT, right? It's not just like, here you go, see you later. It's like very much like hand holding, doing labs, making sure that all your ranges are where they need to be. So, don't just fly by the seat of your pants, guys, and like, oh, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to stop. I mean, you want to have that medical supervision. And I think that that's why I just absolutely love what you guys are doing. So very, very cool. So peptides are just, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, if you're going to do this, you need to do it right. Okay.
Yes.
This is something that if you don't do it right and do it on the days you're supposed to and the frequency that you're prescribed, you can cause, side effects and issues. They're not just telling you, we're not just telling you to do it this way just because we're telling you to do this way. It's for the maximum benefit and to potentially cause other things from happening that could be, harmful or just negative effects of what you don't want. We're doing this to get the maximum benefit of it. So, let's do it right. Take the time, let's do it right. And you'll get the benefits of it.
I feel like the side effects are very, very minimal. Right. I mean, there's really not that much risk. I feel like there's so much more gain to this than there could ever be risk. I think it's just like 1 in a million. Like when people, like I said, just decide like my client was, I'm just not going to do it anymore. Like that, you can't do that. But like, even with the peptides, like they're so safe and so effective. Like it's awesome. So just so you guys know, like I said, I've been working with Eliot in his clinic for quite some time now. And currently I've been using the AOD for fat loss or, fat metabolism, because I'm in preparation for my next bodybuilding competition. And then also coupling that with MOTS-c. So I know that tons of people come to you with that same desire of wanting to lose belly fat. That's their primary goal. So can you tell the listeners what AOD is and what MOTS-c is? And also, guys, a lot of these peptides are really good when you put them together. So it's not just taking one, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's really these blends. And I know you guys offer tons of different blends. Yeah, so I know that putting them together is huge. So tell us a little bit about what AOD does or what it is.
Yeah, so it's AOD 9604.
Okay.
People, if you go through and research about peptides and weight loss, you'll see another one called HGH fragment 176 through 191. Okay.
Got it.
So essentially what AOD is the tail end fragment. Okay. Human growth hormone is 191 amino acids
Oh,
sequence.
wow.
All right. Yep. So 191. What they learned is the sequence of 176 to 191 is the part that just burns fat. So they
Got it.
remove that part from the human growth hormone chain. And then when you do that, all you're focusing on is burning fat. All right. So what that'll do is, so take your AOD. What's going to happen is lipolysis. So for 90 minutes to 120 minutes, what's going to happen is the fat cell is actually going to go outside, or the fatty acid is going to go outside of the fat cell. So it's,
Mhm.
if you can, within that 90 minutes to 120 minutes, go work out, burn that fatty acid before it goes back in the fat cell, and optimize the fat burning effects of that with the AOD.
Yeah, the AOD has been awesome, guys. It really has been. I mean, it's been, and I've done lots of competitions, and I've played with different things, and usually over the counter supplements. Right, I'm a big believer of Thorne. We love them over there. I know you guys use Thorne too. You guys love them as well. So, what goes? What I was, to my understanding, what went with AOD was the MOTS-C. So
Yeah.
tell us about MOTS-C, because that's another one that's just on fire when you start Googling peptides on the internet. So tell us about that one.
So that is such a huge one. If you want to talk about feeling good and having energy,
Yeah.
it's amazing. And nowadays everyone's drinking caffeine. A lot of people do Adderall, which is fine if you do that. It's totally fine if you do that. But you get the side effects of those. Like if you take an Adderall, drink much caffeine, you might be sleeping at night, but your sleep quality is horrible.
Yep.
Okay. You might have the jitters from it, anxiety, things like that. The best way I can explain MOTS-C to you and the way you would feel on it, okay, is just all day you're like, man, I'm okay. Like I'm good. I'm not crashing. I like this. This is awesome. And it's such an amazing thing. And that kind of plays into another thing I tell people about, when you start going into this peptide realm, and hormone replacement and those things is, a lot of people don't realize how bad they feel until they start feeling good.
That's so funny. I tell people that all the time when it comes to nutrition and it comes to like cleaning up your diet and lowering inflammation by taking out certain foods and putting certain foods in. I'm like, you don't realize how bad you actually feel until you feel amazing. And when you're not dragging that 100-pound dumbbell behind you anymore, it's
Yeah.
just like, wow, I had no idea. So that's so cool. I can attest that I've experienced that as well.
Yeah, and the problem is everybody's normalized feeling bad. Feeling bad
Yeah.
is normal because everyone in the room's like, dude, I feel like crap. I'm tired. I'm sluggish. My brain fog's going. That's not normal. That is your body telling you that you need to make a change that you're not doing. That is a warning from your body. Hey, this isn't normal. You shouldn't feel like this. You need to change things.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just a signal. There's nothing wrong with you. That's your body telling you, hey, we need to fix this. What do we need to do? Okay. But when everyone's like, man, that's just how it is. No, it's not how it is. And then people get on it and start feeling good. People call you and be like, you saved my life. This is
Yeah.
amazing. I love it. I have a motivation. I have a vibrance. I have a gusto for life that I didn't know. There's things happening now at 45 that hadn't happened since I was 30.
I love that.
And that's the success story. I can tell you through experience of people that come to us, because the attitude change of someone that feels good and has lost weight. I can personally tell you, I'll have a girl guy go to dinner with 20 friends and say they lost, 15, 10, 20 pounds. They hadn't seen everybody in 2 or 3 months. And everybody at the dinner sees them and say, what are you doing? They say, well, I go see Eliot at RegenMD. Well, let me tell you, if there's 20 people at that dinner, 20 people will call me that week. And they don't
Wow.
just say it's how they looked. It's how they talk and how they feel and how excited they are and an energy they have about life. And people are like, man, I want that. That's where I want to be because they see a shift and a change in these people. It's so awesome and rewarding. And what's crazy is you really truly build a relationship, and we're rooting for you. We want you to do good and have these things. So you really kind of build a relationship with a lot of these people that come to us. It's a really cool thing that goes on.
Yeah. And, you and I talked offline a little bit, and I know that a big part of what you preach as well, and it's what I preach to my clients, is you got to eat right. you got to work out, right? Like this is an amazing, amazing tool that you can utilize. But, you can't go to Eliot and say, Nikki told me to take AOD. I heard the podcast and I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Like it's not going to work like that, guys, right? It's like you have to put the effort in. But if you do, and then you supplement with these peptides, you guys, the results can be amazing. And what he talks about is like that vibrant energy that people just radiate when they start feeling good and their confidence is up and like things start shifting and happening in their lives. And it's just fantastic. And it's so simple, but it can be challenging, but it's really cool that we have this tool that people can utilize. And, that kind of leads me into the next question. And we talked about a little bit about like the fat loss peptide. So what if somebody is really focused on anti-aging? Like that's their thing. They're like, maybe they're in their 50s and they're like, I'm pretty fit. I feel pretty good, but like, man, I want to age gracefully, or I want to feel like I did, when I was 20 years old. Like, what would you recommend? What blend would you recommend for them to take?
So one of the most popular ones we have is a recovery blend.
Okay.
And it includes one that you spoke highly of, which is truly amazing. It's one of the ones that got me into peptides. It's the BPC 157. Okay.
Love it.
So BPC 157, when you take it through an injection, is actually, think of it as connective tissue, bones, ligaments, tendons, things like that, recovery. Whether you had a motorcycle wreck, you got a surgery, anything like that, at the rate.
That's the big one that helped you with your elbow, right?
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Okay.
100, everything. So when you do that, and we're increasing healing, okay, and we're keeping inflammation down. So we've got the BPC 157, all right, connective tissue, bones, ligaments, tendons, TB 500, soft tissue, all right. That's your muscle fibers. That's your skin. That's your thing, your hair, all those things. We also have KPV, which is an anti-inflammatory and recovery peptide, and then GHKU, which is copper peptide. Huge for skin, okay? Huge for healing of the body, okay? We were able to blend those together, and what it does is it'll speed up recovery rates from whether you just want to recover faster from working out, through an injury, through a surgery, through a broken bone, whatever it may be. It'll help enhance that at a rate that is actually shocking. And then you'll see byproducts of it. Like, my elbows were killing me, so I did this, but then all of a sudden my skin looks better. Because when you're able to get your body to fight inflammation, it's able to do the things that it's supposed to do. Burn fat, keep my cortisol levels down, recover faster. So your body functions at an optimal rate when we're able to keep inflammation down in our body. So that's a huge one.
That's huge, and the other question I would have is, that I'm trying to hit the ones that I think that people would really have the most questions about, right? So fat loss, anti-aging, and then like lean mass. So growing muscle tissue, like what peptides would be good for that?
So like we just talked about, think about the recovery blend and how we can lean tissue. So the recovery blend, if we're recovering faster, what are we able to do? Train
harder. Yeah.
Train harder, more often, higher frequency. So you're able to do that. When you're able to do that, you're able to put on lean tissue. Things like CJC, ipamorelin, stimorelin. So that's growth hormone releasing hormone peptides, things that raise our natural IGF-1 levels. Not only will that help with collagen production, improve sleep. When you improve your sleep, the quality of life is astronomical doing that. Recovery's better. So again, you're able to do that. Forming new muscle fiber cells as well. And you're doing this through a natural way of just increasing your natural levels through an optimal route. So anything that raises your growth hormone or anything like that, huge anti-aging benefits, as well as putting on the lean tissue, speeding up metabolism. Now, keep in mind, I always tell people, when you start doing the things like the growth hormone, and again, you have to be approved to get on those things, no history of cancer or anything like that.
Right.
It's not something you're going to take and 2 weeks later, you've done a body transformation. Okay?
Yeah. That's with everything, right? Like you can't just eat good for a month and work out for 3 weeks and be like, I'm going to be jacked. I'm going to have abs. Like it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work the way. If it did, we would all walk around ripped with like an 8-pack.
Percent right. So it's not easy for sure. But what it'll do is, some people do respond quicker. Invest in this. I always tell people, you might see results in 2 weeks. You might see it in 3 months. when I tell people to do these things, I say, be ready to invest at least 6 months, at the very least, no matter what. You may not have to, okay? But I want to prepare people for the proper expectations, okay?
Yep.
So, got to do the right things, and these things are used as tools to increase it and get whatever results that it is we are seeking with it. So, things that raise growth hormone, recovery, keeping inflammation down, they're going to do all these things that we talked about. Help add lean tissue, help speed up the metabolism, burn fat in recovery. And as a byproduct of all those things, you have different pathways to getting the same results, but through different pathways. And it's pretty cool how quickly you can see the results, when you do everything right. And that includes, eating the correct foods, getting proper sleep. Before you start any of these things, I want you to do those two things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want
And
right.
I want to touch on what you said again. I want to repeat it because I want people to really hear you and I want people to understand this. This is something I try to just drill into people too is one, it's an investment. It's an investment of your time. It's an investment of your dollars, but you can't make a month investment, a 2-month investment, a 3-month investment. It's a journey, right? I love that you said 6 months because I feel like got to give this stuff time,
No
right? You
doubt.
can't just say, I'm going to do it for a couple months and, oh, it didn't work. We didn't give it enough time. You
Yeah.
didn't give it enough time to work. And I think that we live in this world of instant gratification and people think, well, I bought this and it should work and da da da. Right. It doesn't work that way, guys. But I'm telling you, if you can stick with it, the results you can get are just absolutely, absolutely amazing.
No, 100%. And, I can speak from personal experience because I've done it all, the hormone replacement, the peptides, everything. Let me tell you, when I by far got the greatest results I've ever gotten, when I changed how and what I ate.
Yeah.
100%. At the effect of which these worked, it was astronomical when I changed what I ate, how much I ate, and when I ate. So that is
Yep.
the biggest and most important thing, and proper sleep. Those are the two most important things. We have things that can help improve sleep, if that's an issue for a lot of people with things like that. But what we put in our body is the most important thing we can do.
I 110,000% agree with you because that's when my whole world changed. I spent I've been at this for almost 20 years now myself and 17, I rounded up. But,
Mhm.
I spent the first probably 8 to 10 years just training, just
Yeah.
training
Yeah.
my ass off. Right. And I thought I ate well, but it wasn't really until I dove into nutrition like 100% where it was like things started shifting, things started changing. I started feeling better. I started sleeping better. Like it just, everything came into play. And then it was like, now we have these peptides that are just like icing on the cake. Right. And it's like, it's such a blessing, man, that we have the science and technology. And so if anybody's out there and you're on your journey and maybe you're just beginning or you're struggling, like look into this, guys. I'm going to put Eliot's website, a link to his website in the show notes. So if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to them. You can book a call with them. They service people all over the US. And the other thing too, that's really amazing about your website, I want to say this, I was doing some research before the interview and I was very impressed with your website. They have a whole section where the peptides are listed and you can click and you have these amazing drop-down boxes that give you like high level of what it is and then these bullet points of what it does. And so like I learned so much in like looking at your website in like 20 minutes. I was like, wow. Like, so if you guys have questions, don't like just Google search stuff. I would say hit his website. I'm going to put it in the show notes and research there because you can tell that you guys and your medical directors and doctors that you guys have on staff have done their research. And it's just, I just want to say kudos to you. It's a fantastic resource for everybody. So definitely check that out. All right. So my next question is going to be, I want to stay on the topic of fat loss and fat burning. If you had someone come into your clinic and their main focus was body fat loss, right? What peptides would you recommend? And then if it's a male or female, would it be the same or would it be solely based on lab work? Like how would you determine what would be good for a female? Let's start there. What would be good for a female for fat loss? What would be a good like peptide stack, if you will?
Well, it really just comes down to kind of with talking to them, their lifestyles. And one thing you said that was most important is that they are doing all the things right. And I want people to understand and know that, these are tools, okay, and that people need to be doing the right things. If you expected to get these peptides, lose weight, get these specific results, and you're not doing the right things, I don't want you to come to me. Don't waste your money. I want you to come. I want you to get results because, we're a referral based business. If you come to me and you don't do the right things and then you take this stuff and it doesn't work because you're not doing the right things, that's not who I want coming to me. I want the dedicated people that are doing the right things. Now, when it comes to determining what everyone should take for fat burning or whatever their goal may be, it just kind of comes down to what they can do via their lifestyle. Like
Got it.
AOD, I'm going to recommend AOD to anybody who can, when they wake up, can fast. Because when you take AOD for the next 90 minutes to 120 minutes, lipolysis is going to occur. So the fatty acid is actually going to go outside of the fat cell. So what I
Wow.
want you to do is go exercise, burn that fatty acid off, okay,
Mm-hmm.
before that goes back in the fat cell, okay. MOTS-c is an extremely good one for anybody because everybody wants to feel good, okay.
Right.
Um, so it really comes down to what they're doing via their lifestyle and what's best for them.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, we can view the lab work and determine that. But again, I can look at your hormone levels and all that, but I can't control what you're eating and doing for breakfast.
Got it. Yeah. What about for anti-aging? What would be good for anti-aging? What peptides would you recommend?
So a lot of things that are good for anti-aging, anything that can keep inflammation down. So you talked about earlier, you started out with like TB500, BPC 157, they're
Right.
recovery peptides. Okay. Well, what those do is they increase healing and then they decrease inflammation. Anytime we can decrease inflammation in the body, we're going to help
Mm-hmm.
with the anti-aging process. Okay. We also
Mm-hmm.
have GHKU, which is copper peptide,
Got it.
amazing for hair, skin, and nails, which those other two will also help with hair, skin, and nails as well. And then as far as the look of the body, the skin, the texture, the collagen production, and the tone, doing things like Samorelin, CJC, Ipamorelin, as well to raise natural growth hormone levels. Those are
Mm-hmm.
amazing things to keep a young, youthful appearance to the skin as well. And then if you want to really deep dive into peptides and
Mm-hmm.
talk true anti-aging, okay, like, hey, I want to live longer, all those kind of things. You
We
can start
all want to live longer. Yes.
to live longer, I want to live healthier, all those things. So, which all these will help you do that, okay? But
Okay.
there's ones like epithalin, okay? What that does, that'll actually lengthen telomeres. So a telomere is inside of us, and as we get older and get closer to death, our telomeres in our body actually get shorter.
Shorten.
And what epithalin has shown is that it can actually increase the telomeres in the body, which in turn would increase your lifespan as well. So there's so many things you can do, to help with the anti-aging process in many different ways, increasing, lifespan, feeling better, having a more youthful look. And what these things really do is they give people a motivation. For once in a while, I got a little help. I'm going to
Yeah.
do the right things. I'm motivated to get up and exercise. I'm motivated to, eat the right thing, to not eat that cookie or drink that beer or have that glass of wine. Use these things as the motivation and tools to be better and get to where you want to be at.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you brought that up because I feel like, it's not a magic pill,
Yeah.
but it absolutely helps move the needle forward. So if
Yeah.
someone really truly is, like you said, they're diving into their health, they've really invested, they're working out, they're doing their thing with their nutrition, they're really trying to be better. I do think that peptides are just that extra little boost, right? And
Exactly.
like you said, gives you that extra little bit of motivation. So absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And then what about increasing muscle mass? I know so many people out there, let's say, they're interested in HRT, but they're like not quite sure because they feel like it's steroids, even though it's not.
For sure.
What would be something that someone could do that would increase muscle mass?
So a peptides that would be good for that are, a lot of these ones are kind of all in the same thing. They have their specific thing that they do, but in turn, you'll get byproducts of other things like, BPC 157. That's going to increase your recovery. But what happens when you recover faster? You grow, you increase tissue, you can train more often, have a higher frequency of interval training or whatever it may be. So it's pretty cool when you do those things. So, anything that will increase recovery, BPC, TB500, KPV, the GHKU, CJC, ipamorelin, samorelin, and then there are stronger ones like an IGF-1 would probably be the most potent one. But that's a short-term use peptide that you would utilize, but you'd probably see the most drastic change in muscle by far by any peptide.
And you said it's short-term use. So would that be like a certain number of weeks that somebody would need to stay on it? And what would that number of weeks be?
Typically, what you would do if you were to do that, it'd be typically a 10, maximum 15-week program that we would do on a low dose IGF-1, depending upon your levels. And then from there, basically, what happens is it's not that, if you do it for 10 or 15 weeks, 20 weeks, 50 weeks, anything like that, doing detrimental harm, you're ruining your body, anything like that, you're just wasting your money and you're wasting your time. Because what happens when you do like an IGF-1, your body builds up a tolerance to it.
Got
So
it.
if you want to stay on it, we don't want that. We want you to get a maximal benefit. So what we'll typically do is transition someone, if they do decide to do like an IGF-1, what we'll do is transition them to CJC ipamorelin. So they come off of that, they run that, they raise their natural growth hormone, releasing hormone and IGF-1 levels through the CJC ipamorelin, gives their body time to reset. And then when they want to jump back on the IGF-1 at a later date, it's like getting back on it for the first time ever.
That's awesome. So what would be some of like your personal favorites? Like I said, my personal ones that I'm doing right now, I'm doing the AOD and I'm doing the MOTC. Love it. It's been great. I've done the BPC 157. That was fantastic. But what are your top faves?
Yeah, absolutely. So the favorites of mine are, we've actually created a blend. We call it the recovery blend, and it's TB500. So that is a soft tissue healing. So think of your muscle tissue, your skin, your hair, things like that. So a quicker recovery from that. With that, we have the BPC 157. Think of that connective tissue, bones, ligaments, tendons.
Got it.
Like that. As we get these aches and pains, it helps when we keep the inflammation down in those areas. The KPV is an anti-inflammatory as well. And then on top of that, we have what is the GHKU. So it's copper peptide.
Okay.
Blue color as well. But what we did is mix those together and created what we call the recovery blend. This is one of the most popular ones that we have because of the effects of, a lot of naysayers will come in the peptides and they do that and they become believers very quickly. So that's a huge one for me. And that's actually what got me into peptides. My elbow pains, my knees, things like that, all that went away. Well, I continued to utilize it and all of a sudden my skin got better. My hair got better. And, that's when I started learning about the effects of keeping the inflammation down in your entire body. When your body's not fighting inflammation, what it's able to do and how it's able to perform at its highest level is absolutely amazing. So if it's not fighting, inflammation of the body, that's how you recover quicker. That's how we get our cortisol levels down. That's how we speed up our metabolism and burn fat. When our body can do the things it was made to do and not have to do things that it's made to prevent, but we're not supposed to have the inflammation we do.
No.
With the foods we have nowadays, the lifestyles we have, all of that creates these problems and chronic issues that everybody has with that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a favorite of mine. I love optimizing my growth hormone levels to the higher end of normal. The improvement on sleep that you will see from this is astronomical. And, I want people to know when you start like a growth hormone peptide, it's not like, you think you're going to take something and then next week you're like, boom, I'm jacked, I'm ripped, I'm perfect. It takes time. We're raising these levels to optimal at a slow pace, and think of cellular turnover. You'll get immediate sleep results within the first week. Okay. But as far as like physical changes and some people respond quicker than others. They might see it within the first 30 days. Other people might take 2 and 3 months. Okay. But when we do things like that, we'll give you recommendations like, hey, take collagen powder to help show the improvement of the skin quality, because collagen is hard to get through our natural diets in our foods. So when we supplement collagen, we raise our growth hormone levels at the rate that we can, synthesize, and the collagen turnover in our body is astronomical. So when you supplement that, you'll get the feeling of the joints and see your skin and hair get better at a much faster rate.
Wow. See, that's really cool. And I love that a moment ago you brought it back to inflammation again. And so, I, with the functional nutrition, part of what I do is try to educate all of my clients that food is medicine, right?
Yeah.
Food signals your body, right? It sends
Yeah.
information, it tells it what to do. And our lifestyle, you touched on that, the food
Yes.
we eat, the processed crap, the sugar, the alcohol, the gluten, the dairy, the corn, the soy, all this BS that we're putting into our body is constantly putting us in this state of chronic inflammation. So it's lowering inflammation through food.
Yes.
Always we want to do that, because if you're not doing that, the peptides aren't going to work. Right. So if you're continuing to eat a bunch of BS and just do whatever you want to do, you can't think, oh, I'm going to take these peptides and it's going to be this like magic fix. You keep eating McDonald's, you're going to look like crap. So stop it. Right. I mean, so it's one of those type things. So I think that I love that you brought it back to inflammation, because our bodies weren't meant to be constantly irritated like they are on a daily basis. And so many of us walk around like that, and stress does it too. So we have this whole like trifecta thing going on. So if we can get our stress under control, if we can get our nutrition dialed in, if we can train, now we have the peptides. They're just going to give us that extra boost,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's such a powerful, powerful combination. Like I said, I love the technology. It's so cool that we have the ability to actually do this. So I'm glad that you touched on inflammation, because it's just something that I just hardcore live in and die by when it comes to talking to clients and trying to educate people. The other thing too, when people start researching peptides, and when I originally started researching peptides, you come across all of these websites that are like, I'm not going to say the names, so I don't want to get in trouble, but there's lots out there. There's some that are very common, and it's the black market. Like, you don't know what you're getting. What are your thoughts on that? Like, right? Like, I feel like it's dangerous. I feel like ordering anything online that's not through a doctor is dangerous. I mean, have you heard anything? Like, have you heard any like horror stories of people getting bad stuff? I mean, you're in the industry, so that's why I ask. I feel like you would probably know better than the layman person. So what are your thoughts on people ordering this stuff just off some website? I mean, is it coming from China? I'm assuming it's like coming from
Well,
China.
you don't know where it's coming from, and that's kind of the problem. You also don't know what you're getting.
Right.
With that. So there's things like sterilization issues. You don't know if it was made in a sterile environment, like,
Mm.
injectable pharmaceuticals have to be via the
Yeah.
FDA. You don't know where the powders are coming from. You don't know the impurities are in there. You just don't know what you're getting. And I will tell this, and I tell this to anybody. If you're looking online and you're searching and Googling, and you're looking at that research site where no one, if something bad happens, nobody's held responsible. You can't call a doctor if you have a reaction. You got to go to your doctor. You got to go. You got to be like,
Right.
I got stuff. I don't know what it is. If it's something you're putting in your body, do not bargain shop.
Yeah.
Okay, I will tell
Amen.
you.
Amen.
Go somewhere where they have experience, they know what they're doing, and the quality of the product speaks for itself. I've never paid $1 for an ad. I've never sent out an email of solicitation, anything like that, even to our customer base until recently. And that's just my already existing patients.
Well, it's business, but part of that's business too, right? But yeah, I know what you're saying.
100%. But what I'm saying is, we have the clientele of 5,000 plus people because the stuff works.
Yeah.
You know, I don't call anybody; they call me.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. So the quality of what you're getting um, matters so much, and knowing where it comes from. And I can tell you right now, peace of mind when you do things like this is so important. You don't need to be scared of what you're putting in your body. You want to feel comfortable. You want to know where it's coming from. You want to have guidance, okay,
Yeah.
in these things, and know how to transition and have plans, and everything like that. And then another thing too is, you need to speak to a licensed physician about this, because, there are indicators for some people. You should not do certain peptides depending upon health history, depending on things that have happened or going on with you, or other medications even that you might be taking. So you really need to take the time to speak with a properly trained physician, consultant, anyone like that knows their stuff. It's your choice, where you want to get your stuff from, and that's perfectly fine and up to you. But I would recommend, if you do anything, to do it right, because how you do anything is how you do everything, and you need to do it right, and go about it and have a peace of mind in
Yeah.
this. If you have
Yeah,
questions,
and don't gamble with your health, guys. Like, right? I think that's like the moral of the story. I talk to people all the time that say, "Oh, well, I found this website," and I'm like, I don't know if you should do the website thing. Oh, well, it's cheaper here. You guys, you get what you pay for, right? And when you're talking about your health and putting things in your body, you want the highest quality. When it comes to food, you want the highest quality. When we talk to supplements, you want the highest quality, right? Because that becomes who you are on like a cellular level, becomes part of you. So I feel like, I just wanted to ask that because I feel like as upcoming or how popular this market is, there's just such a black market. Right.
yeah,
And I just feel like it could be dangerous. So I definitely wanted to touch on that. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, I'm really interested, please don't just go Google search and just order some stuff because it's not safe. So more of the
yeah,
story.
that's 100% right. We tell people there's a reason a Ferrari costs more than a Huffy.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
driving around the street and again, you're putting this in your body. You know, that's the most important thing, and it's something that you're trying to. You're using this to fix your body. So let's use the best stuff and the proven stuff for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, couple more questions. This is something that I try to do in all the episodes that I record. And whoever, either if I'm talking about a subject or if I'm interviewing someone, I always want to give the listeners like 3 tips or 3 things that they could use or just 3 points. And for
Mhm.
you, it's like, what would be 3 tips that you could give listeners that are on their healthy way of life journey? Like, what would you say, whether it be when it comes to peptides or whether it comes to your own personal experience? Like, what are 3 things that are really have impacted you that have just changed your health?
Well, I think just getting everything in order. When I say like that, just getting your life overall. And being a dedicated person.
Yeah.
You wake up, have a reason to get out of bed. When you do anything, have a reason for doing it. And when you have a reason and you have a purpose, what can become of your life is something that's great. Peptides or not, whatever it may be, just get out of bed and have a reason to do so and have a goal to chase. Because what happens is, people are like, man, I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, where to go or what to do today or anything like that. Well, take the first step. And let me tell you, the first thing you can do is focus on your health. Because when you start getting up at 5 a.m, okay, and working out and you're getting ahead of the day and you're doing those things, and then you start, eating right, getting the proper sleep and doing all those things, then let's get on this journey. Okay. But
Yeah.
you need to take the first steps and be doing those other things right. Because again, these are tools that you can utilize, okay, to make your life better, and have a higher quality of life. But you've got to do the right things. I tell people all the time. They'll ask me, what happens to me if I stop doing this or if I stop doing that. I say, well, that's up to you.
Yeah.
We got to look in the mirror and take full accountability of all our decisions in life.
Yeah. Amen. I agree with that so much. I tell people you have to get your nutritional house in order. You have to get your fitness house in order. You have to get your relationship, your home life, your business life, your purpose. I think your purpose in life is huge. Like finding out what that is. I listened to a Steve Harvey episode and he was talking about clip it and he was talking about, the guy that cuts lawns. Like, right? Like, I mean, that doesn't sound glamorous, but that was his purpose, right? And
Yep.
he ended up growing this lawn service to like over $1 million a year because
Yep.
that was his thing. And he went in every day 110% for that one thing. So I would always encourage everybody to take a moment, right? Like if you feel lost on your journey, whether it be health and fitness or life or whatever it might be, is take a moment, pause, take out a journal, write a gratitude journal down, but try to just nail down what your purpose is. And it doesn't have to be this extraordinary thing. I want to build $1 million business. Maybe it's, I want to be a good mom.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, I want to be good at my job and lead my team or whatever it might be. So find your purpose. I love that. That was really well said. So thank you. And then if you had a billboard, okay, and you could write 3 words on this billboard, any 3 words, it could be a sentence, it could be just 3 words, and the whole entire world could see it. And it was something that inspired people, motivated people, a point that you would want to make. What would the 3 words be that you would put on that billboard?
I don't know if I could narrow it down to 3 words, but again,
Or phrase. I would take a phrase.
well, I just learned through myself, and I speak for myself. When I started taking accountability for each and every action and everything in my life I'm responsible for, that's when things change. My life changed when I changed my life.
I
Nobody's
love
going to
that.
do it for you. You've
Mm.
got to get up, you've got to do it. You've got to make the right decisions and it's a hard decision. You've got to sacrifice. And when you sacrifice and you get to where, you want to be, whether that be a weight loss goal, being the best mother, being the CEO of a business, when you get there through hardships, there will be hardships with anything you do, the way you feel and recognize yourself and how you feel about yourself, it's just crazy how you will look at yourself and you realize who you really are when you go through those things and become the thing that you worked for, no matter
Yeah.
what got in your way.
Amen. Amen. So I heard accountability,
Yeah.
responsibility,
Yeah.
sacrifice.
That's right.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. All right, guys. So this is going to conclude our episode and our awesome interview with Eliot today. Eliot, I just want to say thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy and I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on and just talk to the listeners and explain to them a little bit more about peptide therapy. And if anybody is interested in learning more or connecting with Eliot, I'm going to put his website link in the show notes and also his Instagram. So would you say that the best way to contact you is through your website?
Yeah, through the website. So if you're a new patient, you can simply click on book an appointment. You'll click on there. We'll get your information. And, if not that day, the next morning, we'll reach out to you to get you scheduled. So
that's awesome.
Pretty easy to contact. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate it. This has been awesome. And if you found this information helpful, please share it with friends, family, and then make sure you like this episode, leave a rating, leave a review, and then also don't forget to subscribe so you stay up to date every time we release a new episode. And then also too, if you need some help getting your nutritional house in order, your fitness health, your life health in order, reach out to me. You can reach out to me via my website at NikkiFitFitness.com. You can also reach out to me on social media at NikkiFit_fitness, and all of that information will also be in the show notes. So once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, sending lots of positive vibes, energy out to you guys for the rest of your week. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.